Today I'm joined by Daniel, the founder of Design Key and a seasoned solution architect who's led modernization work for data-heavy organizations. Daniel lives at an intersection of product design and engineering, building teams in entangled legacy systems and shipping the right thing fast. We hit two big points. First, how to balance business momentum with gnarly tech debt. Daniel's playbook is simple. Carve out 20 to 30% of every sprint for high-impact debt, messy modules, and slow user pathways, so new features stop sinking into quicksand while the product actually speeds up. Second, where AI is practical today. He uses tools like Claude, Cursor, and VS Code extensions to document neglected code, analyze architecture, and even translate crusty scripts. Listen and you'll learn with one actionable win, a modernized sprint pattern you can copy today. Define a thin, demo-worthy POC for sales without touching core production. Pair it with a standing 20 to 30% tech debt budget and use AI to generate docs and tests as you go. Faster closes, cleaner code, less risk. Let's get into it. Hey, Daniel, welcome to the show. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Hey, Brian. Thank you for having me at the show. So, my name is Daniel Killyevo, and I'm a solution architect and a technical person. So, what I do is basically I help companies and organizations build either products that they want, either automations or systems that they need within their organizations.
How did you get started how did you end up where you are now? Right? So you run what, two organizations? Is that correct?
At the moment, I'm involved in two organizations. One is where I'm a founder and run the operations and run the business, set up teams and deliver projects over there. And the other one is where I help as a solution architect. So it's again helping working with a big organization that deals with tons of data and making sure that the infrastructure is set correctly and that the project initiatives that they have are also set and prioritized accordingly, and the development team is in sync with the business expectations. Yeah.
Tell me about Design Key.
Yeah. So Design Key, it's an organization that I founded. So it's full stack custom software development and design service company. So basically what it means is we help organizations with designing and building their stuff. And we differ from like some of the other agencies that are out there because we're more design driven and design centric. And it doesn't mean like from the UI UX perspective design, but like design in total. And that's where the name came from, Design Key, because it was UI UX design, informational design, system design. So everything that is related to product design and IT design within like the organization on the development side, that is something that we do and we handle. And what we do over there as well is we leverage AI to deliver certain things much more faster. So far, we have done it quite successfully.
Who do you typically work with, like from a customer base? Like who is your ICP when you're looking for new clients, or do they just find you?
So we have some partnership programs with that we have with a couple of folks and companies, organizations. So we have referrals that are coming in that way. We also run a little bit of ads and basically again to attract, but it's more for brand awareness. But from in terms of the ideal, in terms of the okay, let me start from start over here. So in terms of the ICP, at the moment we're serving two type of people in our organizations. It's either non-technical organizations that need help with their technical stuff, which is related to development, and also technical organizations that need either extra manpower and talent, or, for example, they do not have expertise in a specific area and they need help there. So it can be they have a very strong core dev team that is focused on the back end and the web, but they have this mobile application launch that they want to do. so we can come in and build that mobile product for them. So again, we handle different parts within the development space. We also do advisory work. So we work with a couple of startups where I act as a fractional CTO and technical advisor and help them with their initiatives that they have, just to understand, is it feasible or is it not feasible, and also give recommendations in case of how can they move faster, because sometimes what happens is they need an additional view from another person based on the feedback that they're receiving from their dev team or another organization that they hired to do that development work. They still need technical advisory just to make sure that, is it planned correctly? Can it be done faster? Is this the optimal architecture that was set for scale? Are there some product things that they have potentially missed, or they're missing opportunity features that would be a differentiator for their product? So those kind of advisory we also do and perform.
So, as a small organization, would you say that one of your biggest challenges you're facing is just brand awareness?
Yeah. So as a small organization, we're in the business, right? And I'm heavily involved in client projects, right? So we're delivering great stuff. We have a great portfolio. Some of the things that great stuff that we did, they're not even public. They're sitting in our Figma and in our project management tools, right? And again, the clients are super happy that we do this work. For now, everything, has been stable. We've been getting referrals and we've been getting projects. But I would say, yes, brand awareness. And as a small business, the limitation usually comes to who? The owner, who is me. And again, because I'm more a technical guy, when it comes to prioritization, I'll prioritize working on an interesting feature for a client or doing some kind of analysis or an R&D project. So yeah, which is a good thing for the client's business, but is not a great thing for Design Key.
Yeah, it's funny because like I'm almost the opposite. I think I would rather do something that's like being in the front of the camera, creating some sort of marketing, doing some sort of campaign because it's like, oh, I can see the fruits of my labor. Whereas like if I'm working on a coding or technical project, there's only so much time and effort that I can look at it before it starts looking like hieroglyphs, and I'm like, I can't see straight anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it comes because of my technical background. I like doing those things. I just get pumped up. The I like enjoying going to like client demo meetings and presenting what we have done and delivered and collecting feedback, or again doing a research and providing, hey, this is the additional stuff that can be built. So that's why a lot of companies like working with us, and that's why some of the companies have been with us for more than like 5 years. With some of the folks, I've been working for 8 years now.
Wow.
So which is a good thing, good indicator, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's great to be able to have like that continued relationship with organizations for so long and be this technical extension of their offering, right?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really impressive.
But recently, my team has been pushing me to again share more about the stuff that we do. So I've started like sharing some of the insights and interesting things that we have been doing on LinkedIn. Actually, more sharing insights and learning some of the learnings that we get. So I've been sharing them on LinkedIn, and I'll probably also start sharing more project examples on LinkedIn, because what we did in the past is, and I gave this responsibility to the team, is they would share some of the interesting things that we do on either a Behance, either Dribble, right? So they were like into it, they were sharing it. But again, if looking at it, we didn't get the right eyeballs on it, right? So the people that viewed it and kind of got value from it were other either designers or developers that were looking for inspiration, and it was not from business owners or somebody that is going and looking to hire somebody or help them with a certain product. So yeah, we'll be probably publishing more on LinkedIn, and we'll see how it goes. Plus, what I found, LinkedIn is pretty cool because I have also interesting conversations on LinkedIn. Like you and I connected on LinkedIn, right? And some of the comments or some of the DMs that are sent on LinkedIn there, and then we connect to talk about a person's product. They have been interesting, and not only from a point of view where it's interest, not only it's interesting from the other person's side, the other founder side, getting insights from me on how certain things can be done, but also from me because I'm see, oh, he's doing these kind of interesting things. That's probably something that we can also suggest or start applying in certain projects if they're within a similar category.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of wish there was another platform out there that allowed founders to collaborate on, like, without necessarily having like a sales hook involved. I feel a lot of times when you're reaching out to someone on LinkedIn, there seems like a sales hook is always involved versus
Yes.
let's collaborate on something first. And if it makes sense for us to have a sales opportunity on one side or the other, like explore that later, right?
Yeah.
Establish the relationship, the rapport. And I just wish that there was a better platform for that right now because there's so many people that are like, oh, I want to be a LinkedIn influencer. I was like, what does that even mean? What do you do? So it's like this ambiguous place now that it feels like everybody's pitching for something else.
Is again, I found it very meaningful with connecting with the local crowd over here in Tampa and Florida, right? So if, for example, I go to an event or I go to a meeting that was in under like with the C-level guys within a closed door, again, connecting them on LinkedIn kind of makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of noise that is happening over there, and I also get these messages, but from connecting on a local level, I found it very interesting. And yeah, so that kind of helped me a lot. Plus, there are a couple of folks that I'm, for example, looking on LinkedIn and I'm checking what events they're going to because they're interesting guys. And I know that if they're going to that event, that's an interesting event. I should go there. I should be part of it as well. There'll be something interesting to learn there. Yeah. So there, again, is like probably like in any social media channel, right? There will be some cons and pros, and I heard it somewhere. Once the marketers are on the platform, that's when that's when everything turns into sales, and there's a lot of reach outs and those things going on. So yeah, but that's how the world is set up. So it's a good thing and not a good thing. Again, pros and cons in everything. I heard for some people X works. I think it's to know it's different, so I didn't explore it. I just
There's
decided to focus on LinkedIn
yeah.
because it'll be just too much for me.
There are some interesting communities on X. One of the ones that I find most interesting is people who are building in public.
Oh
So
yeah,
they continuously provide updates, and then like it also helps you generate like that early business. So you're generating awareness of what it is that you're building, but also like people are like, oh, yeah, I'm going to cheer for this guy because like I'm watching him build out his story, so I can watch it from the beginning. And I think for me, I think that's probably the biggest opportunity for people who are trying to test the market on a new idea or platform. Like try it on X, try it on Reddit. Like those places are great to be like, hey, I've got this idea. There's plenty of communities out there that are willing to support you with what you're doing and provide honest feedback.
yeah, I totally agree. Like for product businesses, like the approach of building in public, I a believer in that. I think though you can build it till like a certain time, and then you just kind of if you get that success, then you kind of go need to go in the shadows. You don't want to reveal all the secrets and the numbers because that basically your competitors are also like looking at you. But in the beginning, like just sharing that story, yeah, you can. I saw a lot of success stories coming from X, but both sides, right? It works like
Yeah.
there's also success and there's also people that don't get that engagement, though they're building like a great stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, yeah, definitely.
So I've worked with a couple of solution architects in my professional career. Like what is the some of the biggest challenges that you face as a solution architect, either for another organization or working as a consultant with other organizations, just kind of helping them figure out how to move their product forward, making sure that they're moving their business in the right direction and implementing the right tools?
Hmm. So It really depends on the organization, right? So every organization have their goals and projects and priorities. Within this organizations that I have been helping, and this is like I've done a couple of such projects. The main challenge that they were having was the challenge with their legacy code base. So they had a lot of their main product was built way, way long time ago, and they went through multiple teams during this time period. What ended up is they ended up having with solutions that basically it could be like a mini Frankenstein, right, where like different technologies were used. Also because the teams that initially built it, they were not already there was also some technical knowledge that was used, and building and growing and scaling the business based with that solution was pretty hard. So initially, actually, this organization I joined as lead developer, right? And then after some time, I basically transitioned into a solution architect role. Just when doing the whole analysis, again, seeing what they have in place, it was clear that a proper team needs to be set up. And the challenges usually in this case is technical depth and ability to manage both the business priorities and also the technical depth, right? Because with a huge technical depth, it allows you to move much more slower on the development side. And this is not something that, business likes. They kind of understand technical depth, but they still, need their results to get faster. Sometimes it's, just understanding how certain things could be done quicker. It could be even when the organization, a sales rep went and pitched some good idea and they got feedback and there's like a potential big client on the line. It's about building that, even sometimes a POC, a pilot, a prototype, so that they could go and present that, right, without affecting the core product. So because a lot of times what sometimes happens is providing the pilot takes a lot of time if the development team wants to incorporate that within the product itself as a production solution. And in some cases, that is not needed, just because again, the organization is in a pitching mode, in a sales mode, and they haven't signed the contract yet, and they haven't signed the deal, and they need to present some things quick so that the clients can see the value that they will be getting from the platform.
How do you prioritize tech debt versus business priorities?
Yeah.
Obviously, you need to cover both bases, but when it comes to like an organization who may have a large amount of tech debt and a lot of priorities to move the business, like to gain new business in your case, how do you prioritize the teams to support both of those to continue to move the business forward, but also continue to overcome the tech debt that they've incurred?
So that's a very good question. It in the cases that I have, it really depends on the size of the team that you have, because sometimes you have like a limited number of resources on the development side, and managing that becomes challenging. There are ways you can organize it by having support engineers in place that they would be just handling and managing the technical depth. That's when you have available resources to do that. In cases if you don't, and because I've worked in different modernization projects and some projects that also require support. So the rule that I go with is 20 or 30% of the time that is allocated within a sprint or iteration goes to technical debt. So when planning things, planning the sprint, planning an iteration, planning a phase, the dev team also plans what are the technical depths that needs to be covered. The ones that are prioritized are the critical ones that stop the development team to move faster, because they're dealing with super messy code, and building new features on top of that in that particular model becomes complex. That one is prioritized. Or the other thing that is prioritized is the speed part. So, for example, there are parts within the application where it's super slow. But again, we understand from the metrics that within this part of the application, the users use it quite frequently, right? So, improving the speed and the user experience just from the speed and performance perspective makes a lot of sense. So, those kind of things would be prioritized first. One thing that I would like to add is nowadays it's become more easier, and even like modernization projects, they can be done faster. And that's, again, because of AI. AI can be used in different ways and in different directions. It can be used for documentation, which often has been neglected by dev teams when they're building a product or maintaining something on a long-term basis. This is why, again, the problem comes is when you're dealing with legacy projects is like, I don't know, Bob was doing it and Bob is not in the organization, so let's not touch it. The excuse of not doing the documentation now goes away because doing the documentation now is much more easy and much more faster, again, using AI and generative AI. The other thing is even the architecture analysis. So doing the architecture analysis of a certain module or certain things, they also becoming much more easier. You can provide that code base to AI. Again, there are limitations in terms of the context size and all of that. But again, if you're dealing like with people who are familiar with AI and understand how to reverse engineer legacy code and rebuild it, there are ways to do it. Basically, you start with things on the high level, you break everything down into manageable modules, and then you go step by step over there. So AI has been a big thing with the modernization and the rebuilds because some examples is so I've been dealing with a platform where there was a code base and scripts that were written in Perl, and they were not like supported and maintained for 5 years. They were running, they were perfectly, nobody touched them. The scripts for rebooting them were memorized, but nobody wanted to go and update them. Again, so initially, when we first encountered them, it was like 4 years ago. The plan was to rebuild them, but then within the estimation, it took like 6 months. And again, with the business priorities, certain things were put apart. But again, with AI in its current state, that technical debt was taken into work, and it was rebuilt within like 1.5 months, just by running it step by step and being able to rewrite it from Perl to TypeScript and Node.js. Yeah.
So, I mean, you definitely touched on something that I want to dive into a little bit deeper with you. I mean, as a solution architect, someone is who is coding on a fairly regular basis, what are the platforms that you're going to when it comes to AI to support with some of those efforts?
Yeah. So in terms of the platforms that I go to on a regular basis, that's Claude. So I'm a Claude guy. I prefer using it. So again, the short list is Claude using using Visual Studio extensions. There's an extension called Client, which I like and prefer. There's also another extension called Rue, which allows you also to build agents. And also, I use Cursor, right? So their Cursor is built on top of Visual Studio. So
Yeah.
you can also bring those extensions over there. So that's the tool set that I use. Again, there are also within Claude itself, there are certain tools meaning not tools, but connectors that I am using. So I've connected my Claude to an MCP for the database. So basically, I can talk with Claude and bring the database schema and also the queries or like the metrics also from AWS and kind of chat with it. So having those tool sets kind of simplified my life much more, just because sometimes I don't need to open the browser to go and search for certain information. I could just prompt it and get it. The only thing nowadays is the limitation of the chat context window, right? So if you're dealing with a lot of information over there, it kind of eats up. But there are also ways how you can reference the previous chat just to continue that conversation within your next chat.
Yeah, I think so. Having used quite a few AI platforms, especially when it comes to like bigger projects, when it comes to like coding, the biggest limitation, especially with Claude, is that there's the length to the chat, right? Like you've gotten to the end of what it can support.
Mhm.
And I haven't found a good way to be able to pick up that where I am from one chat to the next. Whereas like ChatGPT this past week or very recently just introduced the notion of being able to split a chat. So you can
Mhm.
go in and actually branch it into a new chat and take it in kind of two different directions, which I love that idea because it takes all the history with it. Just I'm coming personally in my use cases, I've come up to like the chat length limitation in Claude and just been like, all right, well, now I have to start anew and
Yeah.
there's no way for me. Like, and I know that I've been doing some research. There's ways to put in like a task plan, like a planner set
Yes.
and then a task set to make sure that it's going in and checking off those things. That way, if you do reach that task limit for that chat, like you're not starting over again in a different chat with no context. Same with the
Cor-
MCP server provides you very similar ways to set it up and provide constraints and guardrails around what it is that you're trying to achieve.
Correct. One, so there are those limitations. One thing that you can explore is you can use either, you can basically use, have you worked with Claude Code?
Uh, I'm just starting to work more
Okay.
with Claude Code.
But you've been using Cursor, right?
Yeah, I have Cursor. I have Cursor
Okay.
open right now
Okay,
on my
perfect.
computer.
So one of the things that you can explore is basically you can use Cursor as you would use ChatGPT. The only thing is you would save the context and you would focus like on the context engineering and you would save those kind of things within the files, right? So that you can then continue the conversation within that chat within Cursor. So that is something that could save time because what I've seen is and this usually happens is because you sometimes get your token like your cursor tokens get much more slower requests on cursor, so you kind of switch to ChatGTP and do certain things over there. The way I handled it was again, it's becomes a little bit pricey. But if you go, for example, with Open Router, you can basically you can pay as you go, and you won't have that limitation on the number of requests that you're sending. So you can use Cursor either agentic mode by connecting to Open Router, and then you are removing that limitation, and then you can chat, you can have those conversations, you can save everything in markdown files or in any other file format that you prefer. So one good example is we use Cursor, and there's this extension called Klein, which is on top of Cursor for documentation a lot. So how we're handling that is we have this folders for specific either modules or departments or projects, right? And each of those folders, they have also additional rules and context for that particular space. And this way, if we need to ask something about the project or we need to add certain things about the project, we already have these rules in place and we can reference them. And then either the AI agent basically will understand and pick up the context and will build certain things upon it. So one of the challenges that I see, like what was happening was there was a lot of work that was done, but then we were not tracing the history, like of the changes. So the issue over there was, again, the knowledge was lost with the job that was done with AI. Everything was done. There was a documentation, but basically some developers, what they would do, they would do, again, bad practice, but they got really into it. So they would do like 3 tasks and do 1 commit, right? And within GitHub, then that became like a little bit of a mess. So we had to roll back certain practices back, especially when working with production code, because it was becoming harder for the QA team to keep up because the developers were delivering, so fast.
So, Daniel, you've been a great guest. At the end of each one of my podcasts, I give all of my guests 90 seconds to plug anything that are passionate about. So, that in your case could be Design Key, that could be anything else. So, without further ado, the next 90 seconds are yours.
Yeah, so I'll be pitching probably Design Key a little bit. So again, at Design Key, if you're working on something interesting on a tech project or something, and you feel that you need like either technical help or a person to come and look at your product from another set of eyes, or improve the design or even go and fix what you started doing with your vibe coding, feel free to reach out to me. My email is daniel@designkey.us. So yeah, I'm looking forward. The other thing that I really want to preach is again, AI is continuing growing and evolving. So be always hungry, be a learner, learn new stuff. I highly recommend always not to just focus on the tools, but to grow and learn your expertise, because there are certain things that you can get from AI, but also because where it currently is, it won't give you like all of the 100% of the valid data and information that you need. So it is very important to know your facts and to check them when you're working on something important that is critical for your work or for your business. Yeah.
I think that's a very important call out.
Yeah.
Daniel, thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me. This was awesome.